Hello, my dear. Hit that like button and subscribe to uncover more astonishing tales each day. Welcome to Secrets and Lies, where every twist and turn reveals a new tale waiting to be uncovered. Once the fragrance of blooming roses brought happiness to our home, but now it serves as a reminder of the thorns that have woven their way into our lives. Once upon a time, there was a woman named Rose and her husband Dave who lived in a quaint little town. They were like many others, filled with hopes and dreams of a future that sparkled with possibilities. Yet, aspirations can morph into haunting realities, particularly when urgency drives you to strike bargains with the dark side. Dave's latest venture, which we believed would lead us to brighter days instead, cast us into an unforeseen abyss of despair. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across our humble living room, Dave returned home with an expression that sent a shiver down my spine. "Rose," he murmured, his voice quivering. "There's something we need to discuss." And with those words, our lives embarked on a journey into the unknown, where the price of our aspirations would be far more than we ever envisioned. What sort of dilemma could leave my husband appearing so utterly defeated? And how is it connected to the man he borrowed money from, a figure whose name alone sends chills through our town? In the year 1970, our quaint little town is alive with the fragrance of blooming roses intertwined with an undercurrent of unspoken secrets that linger in the air. My name is Rose, a name that once sparked joy in others now bears the burden of a journey I never envisioned. My husband Dave, a man with aspirations that far exceed his finances, always had a talent for finding himself in predicaments. His latest venture, however, was set to weave a tapestry of change in our lives that we could never have imagined. Once upon a time, Dave found himself in a predicament, having taken a significant loan from Ron, a man whose power and reach were as vast and hidden as the roots of an ancient oak tree. Ron was more than just a lender. He held the power to change destinies with a single phone call. His reputation loomed like a shadow matching the darkness of his tailored suits, while his demands shifted with the capriciousness of the elements. One evening, as the sun sank beneath the horizon, painting our humble living room in shades of twilight, Dave walked in, his expression heavy with a sense of loss. "Rose," he started, his voice soft and almost secretive. "There's a tale of trouble brewing." The way the light danced across his face, accentuating the worry lines, added years to his appearance, telling a tale of burdens carried and moments lived. He sank into our tired old couch, the springs groaning in protest beneath him. "What's the matter, Dave?" I inquired, my heart beginning to plummet, aware that the words he was about to utter would likely bring unwelcome news. "It's Ron," he said, his voice quivering with emotion. "He's demanding repayment, and he expects it immediately." Thoughts swirled around in my head. We were left with emptiness. Once upon a time, there was a sum of money that vanished, all due to Dave's latest grand idea, a car wash that never saw the light of day. The equipment lay in our backyard, rusting away, a quiet reminder of aspirations that never took flight. "But we don't have it," I murmured. the weight of our predicament crashing over me like a frigid tide. What tales shall we weave together? Dave ran his hands through his hair, a gesture that revealed the wheels turning in his mind, crafting a narrative of his own. Yet, on this occasion, there was neither a plan nor an easy solution. I'm not quite sure, Rose. I'm honestly at a loss. The stillness that enveloped us was thick, punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of the ancient clock on the wall, each tick echoing like a harbinger of our fate. Ron was more than just a solitary predator in the depths of the ocean. He was a figure who reveled in dominance, drawing strength from the trepidation he evoked in those around him. His requests carried an air of menace, and his tolerance was as fragile as the surface of a frozen lake. "We must consider this, Dave," I implored, striving to maintain a calm tone. Surely there must be a way forward. But Dave just shook his head, his eyes wandering to a place far beyond the confines of our home. "He won't be holding on, Rose. He's the kind of person who believes in finality." A heavy weight enveloped us, casting a shadow over our circumstances. Ron's influence extended far and wide, with ties intricately woven into the hidden corners of our town. When he set his sights on something, it was as good as his. And if you couldn't pay well, the consequences were spoken of in hushed tones, tales of disappearances, of lives shattered. I reminisced about the moment Dave first brought up Ron, the thrill in his voice, as he spoke of the investment chance that lay ahead. Once that thrill felt alive and vibrant, but now it has faded into the background, overshadowed by the harsh truth of our situation. I proposed we could sell something, a hint of urgency slipping into my voice. Perhaps the vehicle Dave's laugh echoed with a sharp edge lacking any trace of joy. "The value of the car falls short of what we still need to pay. Moreover, what would be our means of transportation?" The space seemed to shrink, the walls inching closer with every heartbeat. I could nearly feel Ron's voice, sleek and chilling, as he presented his conditions. "We must find a way to stretch our moments," I said as my thoughts whirled in search of answers. "Perhaps if we engage him in conversation and share our thoughts." "Could you share what you mean?" Rose, Dave interrupted me, his voice escalating. "That I haven't succeeded. That I have nothing to demonstrate for all the money he provided me." The air was thick with unspoken words, a fragile thread that could break at any instant. I extended my hand, resting it on his, sensing the texture of his skin, the calluses that told tales of years spent in toil, efforts that often felt unrecognized. "We'll navigate this together," I declared, attempting to project more assurance than I truly possessed. "That's our way." Yet as the words left my lips, a sense of uniqueness washed over me. This was more than a mere financial matter. It was a fight for existence, a struggle to prevent our lives from falling apart at the edges. As the night deepened, the shadows in our living room began to stretch and twist, reflecting the weight of our circumstances. What sort of challenge could leave Dave feeling so downcast? What connection does it have to Ron? The response to that inquiry was shrouded in enigma, a tale that would soon reveal itself in ways that would challenge the core of our being. The following day, Dave seemed different. his typical cheerful spirit overshadowed by a heavy stillness. As the morning light streamed through the window, he finally broke the silence, sharing that Ron plans to visit tonight. He carries an air of mystery, and the way he spoke sent a shiver through me. It felt like he was alluding to something deeper than a mere drop-in, something significant, a heavy load to bear. Upon Ron's arrival, he found himself in the company of others. Beside him stood a colossal dog, a creature of remarkable size, its eyes sparkling with a hint of understanding. Ron shared the tale of his loyal companion, a dog named Brutus. In our home, a palpable change enveloped us, as though the very walls were pausing in anticipation. Brutus sat beside Ron, his gaze steady and intense as if he grasped the weight of what was unfolding around them. Ron settled into his seat, his aura commanding the space around him, and started to weave the narrative of Dave's debt repayment terms. "Imagine this, Dave," Ron began, his voice flowing effortlessly. "I've come up with an intriguing approach for you to resolve your financial obligations. It features Rose, and it's an experience that will stay with you both forever." My heart raced with excitement. What could Ron possibly desire from me that would resolve such a significant obligation? The atmosphere grew frigid, heavy with unspoken words. I caught a glimpse of Dave, his expression a tapestry woven with worry and dread. Ron pressed on, his gaze fixed intently on me. "I've been reflecting, Rose. Your allure is captivating, a radiance that goes beyond mere appearances. It's woven into your essence, your unwavering strength. I've come to the conclusion that I desire something different than money. I seek your attention." "What time is it?" Thoughts surged through my mind. What was his interpretation of time? "You'll work for me, Rose," Ron said, his voice lowering to a whisper that carried an unsettling weight. "You'll arrive at my place, and you'll follow my lead until we've settled the matter of what Dave owes me. Believe me, I will ensure that every cent is well spent." The message was unmistakable, even if he left it unspoken. The idea of being at Ron's mercy within his walls, fulfilling his demands, sent a wave of unease through me. I gazed at Dave, his eyes filled with a silent request for forgiveness, a yearning for comprehension. "And Brutus here?" Ron gently patted the dog's head, ensuring that you won't entertain any mischievous thoughts of escaping. "He possesses an unwavering loyalty, you know, and a fierce protectiveness." The room held its breath, the only sound the rhythmic ticking of the clock, each second unfolding like a tale waiting to be told. In that moment I was ensnared, surrounded by a figure whose influence loomed large, as tangible as the dread he evoked. "What happens if I choose not to comply?" I inquired softly, my voice barely rising above a whisper, fully aware of the response that awaited me. Ron's smile was like a winter's chill lacking any trace of warmth. "Then, Rose, I fear the path ahead may lead to some uncomfortable moments for you both. And remember, I'm aware of your family's whereabouts. I have insights into the places where your friends are employed. I possess a wealth of knowledge." The warning was subtle yet clear as day. My thoughts swirled like a tempest, searching for a way out, for an answer, yet none appeared. Dave's hand slipped into mine beneath the table, a gentle squeeze, conveying unspoken regret and sorrow. And don't even consider reaching out to the police. Ron added, his tone light, as if he were chatting about the forecast. They either work for me or they fear the consequences of crossing my path. No matter what, it won't make a difference. The space seemed to shrink, the boundaries tightening around me. The echoes of the town seemed to murmur, recounting the tales of those who had ventured across Ron and vanished, or faced even graver fates. So what tale shall we weave? Rose Ron's voice carried an air of challenge, inviting others to rise against him. As I gazed at Dave, I could see a swirling storm of guilt and fear reflected in his eyes. Then there was Brutus, his eyes conveying a readiness to carry out whatever Ron requested. As I inhaled deeply, I could sense the gravity of the choice resting heavily upon me. I will see it through, I declared, my voice unwavering even as chaos swirled within me. I'm here to lend my skills to your cause. Ron's smile grew, a creature reveling in the acknowledgement of its prowess. Excellent decision, Rose. Excellent selection. Our journey begins tomorrow. Prepare yourself. As Ron and Brutus departed, the stillness in our home was overwhelming. Though Dave's hand lingered in mine, an invisible chasm stretched between us, as if we were separated by vast distances. What had I committed to? What kind of narrative was unfolding before me? The response to that inquiry was shrouded in enigma, a tale that would soon unravel in manners that would challenge the core of our being. The space seemed to shrink as Ron's words lingered, weaving an invisible thread of tension around us. He went on, I'd like Rose to help demonstrate her loyalty and commitment to repaying the debt right here in your presence, Dave. The impact of his proposal resonated deeply, as if it were a tangible force. Dave's face drained of color, his eyes filled with dread. A wave of disbelief washed over me, accompanied by a creeping sense of dread. With a quiver in my voice, I couldn't help but express my disbelief. Oh, but I truly am, Ron replied, his smile sending a shiver down the spine. It's this or Dave, and the repercussions are too great for either of you to bear. The night unfolded into a chilling tale. As Brutus, Ron's dog, entered our living room, the weight of Ron's icy stare compelled me to take an action that would linger in my mind for all time. The shame, the downfall, it felt overwhelming. Dave observed his expression, a blend of anguish and powerlessness, as I fulfilled the expectations placed upon me. I knelt beside Brutus, my hands trembling as I gently stroked his fur. Ron's instructions were clear and cold. He expected obedience without any questions. Make sure you follow through without error. I knelt beside Brutus, my hands trembling as I gently stroked his fur. His eyes, dark and deep, held a glimmer of understanding tinged with a hint of playful irony. In the stillness of the room, the only sounds were the deep breaths of the dog and the soft rhythmic creaks of the floorboards as Ron shifted in his seat. Dave's gaze was fixed on me, tears welling, but not spilling, his expression twisted in a wordless cry of pain. I could sense the turmoil brewing inside him, the urge to put an end to this, to shield me from harm. Yet the dread of Ron's potential reaction loomed large, freezing him in place. Ron's voice pierced the silence, weaving through the palpable tension in the air. keep in mind, Rose, this is all for Dave. This is all for him. I shut my eyes, attempting to distance myself from the present situation, yet the truth remained unavoidable. Brutus stood before me, an imposing figure, his warm breath brushing against my skin, his body reacting to my hesitant caress. The room whirled around me, and I found myself detached, observing the unfolding drama from afar. The moment was fleeting, yet its significance would resonate long after. Brutus, feeling a sense of fulfillment, settled down with a resounding thud, his eyes gently closing in blissful tranquility. Ron rose to his feet, bringing his hands together in a rhythmic applause, as if to mark the conclusion of a captivating tale. Great job, Rose. That will suffice for the moment. But keep in mind, the tale is far from finished. Only when the debt is completely settled. As Ron and Brutus departed, the stillness in our home was overwhelming. Though Dave's hand lingered in mine, an invisible chasm stretched between us, as if we inhabited entirely different realms. The atmosphere was heavy with silence laden with the weight of recent events. I gazed at Dave, his eyes brimming with a blend of remorse and trepidation. What journey lies ahead for us? And how will it shape the tale of our marriage? The question lingered in the air, a vast divide that felt insurmountable. The night unfolded, every tick of the clock echoing the moments we had let slip away, the purity we could never retrieve. We lingered in quietude, the burden of our decisions heavy upon us. Dave finally found his voice, though it came out a bit hoarse. Rose, I truly apologize. I never imagined. I was completely unaware that he would do such a thing. I found myself at a loss for words. The tales remained untold. Instead, I simply gripped his hand more firmly, sensing the texture of his skin, the calluses born from countless years of toil that always felt unrecognized. The following morning the sun ascended, yet its glow seemed altered, more frigid. We drifted through our daily lives like phantoms, the lingering echoes of the previous night's happenings enveloping us in a heavy gloom. Once more Dave attempted to find his voice. We must discover a path forward from this, Rose. There must be a path forward. Yet my mind wandered, revisiting the moment time and again. How can we possibly navigate beyond this moment? What implications would this have for our union? The questions lingered in my mind, their answers just out of reach, their meanings deeply unsettling. Our home, once a haven of warmth, now resembled a cage, every corner resonating with the haunting memory of Ron's unsettling proposal and the events that ensued. The fragrance of blooming roses wafted through the air, a bittersweet reminder of beauty that stood in sharp opposition to the harsh realities we faced. As the days unfolded, the tension between us deepened. Our words dwindled, the quiet surrounding us heavy with the untold dread of the events that had unfolded. Dave's efforts to fit in seemed empty, his chuckles lacking authenticity. And so we existed ensnared by our situations, by our decisions, by the burdens that appeared to swell with every moment that slipped away. The uncertainty of how we might transcend this moment lingered a suspenseful pause in our narrative devoid of a script to lead us into the following chapter. In the days that followed, our home became a quiet sanctuary filled with unspoken memories. Dave struggled to find the right words to express his remorse, to clarify his intentions. Yet it felt as though his attempts fell short. I drifted through our home like a specter, the heaviness of the past lingering around me. Every corner of our once cozy home now echoed with the memories of that fateful night, the night when everything changed and shadows crept into our lives. One evening, as I sat gazing out the window observing the final rays of sunlight surrender to the looming night, Dave came to me with a determination I had never witnessed in him before. His eyes, once clouded with despair, now flickered with a newfound resolve. He sat beside me, his presence weaving a narrative that filled the void within me. "Ro," he started, his tone steady but soft. "This challenge cannot be our downfall. It's time to stand our ground. We must discover a method to ensure Ron faces the consequences of his action." I glanced over at him, my heart weighed down by the echoes of our journey. "Stand your ground." The words lingered, leaving a bitter aftertaste on my tongue. How my friend Dave Ron has us completely captivated. He exists beyond reach. Dave's jaw clenched as he grasped my hands, his warmth contrasting with the chill that had seeped into my very core. "I've been pondering, Rose, there must be a way forward, an idea we've yet to explore. Perhaps there's a path to unveil his true nature, to see him topple." The notion appeared absurd, a whimsical creation stemming from a deep yearning. As I gazed into Dave's eyes, I perceived not merely hope, but the beginnings of a narrative unfolding. "What tales are swirling in your mind?" I inquired. My curiosity ignited even in the face of an overwhelming sense of futility. "We require proof, something undeniable that demands attention," Dave said, his voice lowering to a secretive murmur. "Ron's harboring some intriguing tales, Rose. In this town, the truth lingers in the air, unspoken yet palpable, as if everyone shares a secret that binds them together in silence. Unraveling those mysteries could open the door to our success." The idea of exploring Ron's mysterious activities sent a chill through me. "So what's the approach we take to achieve that?" I inquired softly, my voice a mere breath, worried that even the walls could reveal our secrets. "I've been sharing some tales with a few folks," Dave continued, his gaze unwavering. "Once upon a time, there was a fellow named Eddie who had a job with Ron. He emerged carrying with him a wealth of knowledge. He is filled with fear, yet if we can sway him, he may come to our aid." The thought of bringing someone else into our dark reality was intimidating. Yet the other option was to stay trapped under Ron's control, enduring fear and humiliation. What happens if he says no? Or even more concerning, what if he shares it with Ron? Dave's expression grew stern. "That's a chance we need to embrace. Yet I have faith that Eddie wishes for Ron to be out of his life just as much as we do. He's the one we can count on, Rose." The atmosphere was heavy, each breath laden with the gravity of our choice. As I surveyed the once familiar landscape now transformed into something unrecognizable, a wave of frustration washed over me. Frustration directed towards Ron, the circumstances, and the sense of powerlessness that had overshadowed our existence for far too long. All right, I remarked, the word resonating with the weight of a journey filled with peril. Let's embark on this journey. Let's embark on a journey to discover Eddie. Dave held my hands tightly, conveying a wordless vow of support. We must tread lightly, Rose. Exercise caution. Ron's gaze and listening skills captured every moment. The plan was crafted, yet the unfolding of events took a different turn altogether. In the days that followed, Dave embarked on a quiet quest, seeking out individuals in dimly lit corners, far from the gaze of the curious. I observed him, his resolve intensifying with every fleeting second, and I sensed a spark of an emotion I hadn't experienced in ages: anticipation. One evening, as shadows danced around him, Dave arrived with a tale to share. Eddie agreed to meet us, his voice carrying a blend of relief and tension. Tomorrow night at the old mill, he claims he has a tale that could guide us. In the shadows of the old mill, where time had left its mark, whispers of secrets and hidden encounters lingered in the air, waiting to be unveiled. Once a vibrant part of the town's history, it now stands as a mere shadow of its former self, a skeletal structure of wood and rust, whispering tales of days long past. As we got ready for the meeting, a curious blend of anxiety and excitement washed over me. What if this was our moment to share a tale? What if we could finally escape the hold Ron has on us? Yet the apprehension lingered, hiding in the corners of my thoughts, murmuring about the dangers, the possibility of defeat, and the repercussions if we were discovered. On that chilly night of the gathering, the air was sharp, hinting at the arrival of winter's embrace. As we journeyed through the night, the car's headlights pierced the shadows, revealing glimpses of the unknown road ahead. As we stepped into the mill, an unsettling silence enveloped us, broken only by the faint hoot of an owl in the distance. Eddie stood waiting, a shadow framed by the crumbling edifice behind him. He was a lean figure, his gaze flickering anxiously as we drew near. "Are you really certain about this?" he inquired, his voice gravelly from countless cigarettes and the weight of his anxieties. "We must be," Dave responded, his tone unwavering. "We must put an end to this, Eddie, for the sake of everyone." Eddie nodded, retrieving a small weathered notebook from the depths of his jacket. "This," he said, passing it along, "contains all the tales I have about Ron's operations. Once upon a time, there were names, dates, and transactions that wove together a tapestry of events. Everything you need is within, but tread lightly. If he discovers the truth, we will comprehend." I remarked, grasping the notebook, sensing its heft not merely in my grip, but in the significance it carried. "Thanks a lot, Eddie." He offered a brief nod, his gaze sweeping through the shadows enveloping us. "Ensure it leaves a mark. It's time for me to take my leave." As Eddie vanished into the darkness, Dave and I remained in the car, the notebook resting between us, glowing with the promise of untold adventures. As we turned the pages, each entry revealed a fragment of the tale that could expose the secrets of Ron's empire. The narrative unfolded with clarity now. We needed to navigate this information carefully to seek out allies and reveal Ron, while ensuring our own safety. The journey before us was filled with challenges, yet for the first time in ages, we felt a sense of direction, a reason to move forward. "We must approach this with cleverness," Dave remarked, his gaze shimmering in the soft glow of the car's interior. "We can't simply approach the authorities. We must gather our experiences, seek out those who have faced similar injustices at his hands." I noted a sense of determination swelling within me, and we must safeguard ourselves. Ron is determined to stand his ground and face whatever comes his way. The night unfolded, the car's engine purring softly as we crafted our next adventures. The notebook served as our connection, our tool and our beacon of optimism. Yet the inquiry hung there, weighty and palpable. What scheme could Dave possibly devise to face off against someone as formidable as Ron? The tale was still in the making, but one truth stood clear. We had transformed into something more than mere victims. We stood as warriors poised to take back our existence from the depths of dread. Dave had kept his thoughts close to his chest, but now he decided to share the tale of his plan. He had been piecing together a narrative, collecting recordings and accounts from those who had endured the weight of Ron's control. "We're heading to the authorities," he declared, his tone resolute. "We will reveal the truth and we will seek what is right." The stage was prepared for the clash ahead. Armed with the evidence, we made our way to the police. The journey was arduous, with every aspect of our experience exposed for all to see. However, the authorities, recognizing the depth of Ron's wrongdoings, moved quickly. As we stepped into the police station, an unmistakable heaviness hung in the air. Dave held a briefcase burdened with the dreams and aspirations we all shared for liberation. We found ourselves in a dim, windowless chamber where Detective Harris, a man whose gaze carried the weight of countless experiences, awaited our arrival. "Share all the details," he said, his voice steady yet authoritative. As Dave opened the briefcase, he revealed the notebook that Eddie had entrusted to us, accompanied by tapes and documents that held untold tales. Once upon a time, there was a man named Ron who started to speak with a calm and unwavering voice. "He's more than just a solitary predator. He weaves a dark tale, ensnaring others with fear and dominance, shaping their destinies to his will." Detective Harris leaned in closely as Dave unfolded our tale, starting from the moment we took the loan to that fateful night with Brutus, the subtle menaces that loomed over us, and the all-consuming dread that had taken hold of our existence. I sat beside Dave, my hands tightly clasped in my lap, feeling the walls close in as every word resurrected the haunting memories. As Dave wrapped up, Harris reclined, his face a mask of mystery. "This is serious," he said, tapping the notebook with emphasis. With a weighty demeanor, "We should verify this information, but if your account holds, we have sufficient grounds to proceed with bringing him in." The following hours unfolded like a whirlwind of narratives, conversations, and the stark, detached retelling of our most harrowing experiences. Every word I uttered transported me back to that night, a vivid replay of the shame and the loss. Yet this time it was infused with meaning, an opportunity to restore our honor. At long last, After what seemed like a never-ending saga, Detective Harris rose to his feet. "We're about to take him into custody." At this moment, the journey to Ron's mansion unfolded in silence, with an air of tension hanging thick in the atmosphere. As we arrived, the magnificence of the place appeared to taunt our humble, fractured existences. With police cars encircling the property, their lights flickered like ominous beacons, creating haunting silhouettes on the perfectly trimmed lawns. In the heart of his lavish study, Ron found himself in handcuffs, the splendor of his surroundings contrasting sharply with the unfolding drama. His face, typically so serene, contorted into a vivid display of fury and incredulity. "This is a mistake," he spat, his voice reverberating through the vast expanse of the room. "The weight of the truth will haunt you." Yet the proof was undeniable. As Ron was escorted away in handcuffs, the foundations of his empire started to fall apart. The tale raced through the town, igniting curiosity and intrigue in every corner. In that moment, we transformed from mere victims into powerful symbols, standing firm against oppression. As we stepped out of the police station, a flurry of reporters surrounded us. A relentless stream of inquiries. "What are your thoughts on Ron's recent arrest? What adventures await you and Dave?" Yet my mind was consumed by the overwhelming sense of relief, the profound comfort that Ron's reign of terror could finally be drawing to a close. Back at home, the silence had transformed. It was no longer oppressive, but rather contemplative. Dave and I settled into our well-loved couch, a piece of furniture that had seen its share of heartache now transformed into a seat of hopeful anticipation. "We accomplished it, Rose," Dave exclaimed, his voice shattering the stillness. "Perhaps we are on the brink of liberation." I gazed at him, recognizing not merely my partner, but a warrior who had bravely battled the shadows. Yet, can this triumph truly mend the wounds etched deep within our spirits? I posed the question that lingered in the air, a haunting presence between us. The response didn't come right away. The marks ran deep, the wounds etched into the soul. As we wrapped our arms around one another, the warmth of our embrace seemed to mark the beginning of a journey toward healing. The journey ahead was a tapestry of challenges woven with healing, rekindling faith, and discovering a fresh way of life. In this moment, we celebrated our triumph, embracing the hope of a future unshackled by fear. The night lingered, and as we lingered in our seats, the first rays of dawn started to filter through the curtains. A fresh dawn broke, ushering in a new tale in our journey. One where we could begin to weave together the fragments of what had been broken to discover resilience in our collective experience, and maybe as time passes, to find a way to absolve ourselves and one another for the decisions taken in moments of pressure. The inquiry hung in the air. Could this triumph truly satisfy? Only time would reveal the unfolding tale. But for now, we had each other, and that was a beginning. The journey through the legal maze was arduous and exhausting, yet in the end, the scales of justice tipped in favor of truth. Once Ron faced his sentence, his sway over others faded into the background. Our town found a sense of relief, and so did we, yet the marks of the past lingered on. Dave and I embarked on a journey to piece things back together. Through the journey of healing, we navigated the passage of time and engaged in meaningful conversations that led us to discover a fresh sense of balance. Our relationship transformed in ways we never expected, yet it remained intact. We embraced our history not as a weight, but as a celebration of our strength. In those therapy sessions, emotions flowed freely, weaving together moments of sorrow and profound insights. In a cozy, softly illuminated space, we gathered together. The therapists served as a soothing compass, navigating the intricate maze of our feelings. "You've both faced a significant challenge," she said, her gaze warm yet resolute. "It's about the journey that unfolds. It's about exploring how this has influenced you and how you can evolve from it." As Dave held my hand, his grip was strong, conveying an unspoken assurance that we were united in this journey. "I feel like I let you down, Rose," he admitted during one session, his voice heavy with feeling. "This is a consequence of my actions." I grasped his hand, sensing the texture of his skin, the calluses formed from countless years of labor that always felt unrecognized. "At this moment, we've arrived, Dave. We stand united in our struggle. That is what truly counts." Therapy was more than just a path to healing. It was a journey of rediscovering trust and mastering new ways to express ourselves that we had never explored before. We shared tales of all kinds, from the ordinary to the deeply meaningful, uncovering the hidden facets of our bond that had been obscured by the burdens we faced. For me, I discovered peace in tending to my garden, cultivating life from the earth, a vivid contrast to the shadows we had endured. The garden transformed into my refuge, a realm where I could tame the tumult, witnessing the emergence of growth and beauty from the soil. Each glance at a rose brought forth memories of my resilience, my identity, and the path we had traveled together. In our garden, the roses stood as more than mere flowers. They embodied a tale of resilience. Their thorns serve as a reminder of the struggles we have faced, while their blooms stand as proof of the beauty that can arise from hardship. I immersed myself in their world for hours, soaking in the warmth of the sun on my skin, the earth beneath my nails, and the tranquility that arises from witnessing life thrive. On a sunny afternoon, while I was tending to the roses, Dave stepped outside to lend a hand. He observed my efforts, his gaze gentle, filled with a blend of appreciation and melancholy. "You've transformed this place into something truly beautiful, Rose," he said, his voice echoing with the memories we've created together. As I gazed up at him, the sun enveloped his face in a gentle golden light. "We're crafting our lives into something beautiful too, Dave. There's more to it than the garden itself." He nodded, grasping the layers beneath the surface. "I'm aware, and I'm right by your side through it all." In the aftermath of the trials we endured, our bond started to heal during these serene instances, where silence spoke volumes. We discovered the beauty in the little triumphs, the joy that flowed more freely, the warmth found in moments of quiet togetherness. Yet the question hung there, weighty and palpable. In what ways might our narrative ignite inspiration in others, and what possibilities lie ahead for Rose and Dave? Whispers filled the air as the town's gaze shifted, revealing a new narrative unfolding around us. We had transformed from mere victims of Ron's oppression into a narrative of resilience and strength. We were the ones who endured, shining beacons of optimism. Individuals began to open up to us looking for guidance or simply someone to hear them out. In a sense, we transformed into symbols of strength and perseverance. One evening, while we relaxed on our porch, taking in the breathtaking sunset that splashed the sky with vibrant shades of orange and pink, a young woman came our way. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Ellie, and in her eyes I recognized a familiar fear that echoed my own past. "I heard about what you did," she said, her voice quivering with emotion. I seek assistance." Dave and I shared a glance, an unspoken understanding that our adventure was meant for more than just ourselves. It was for those who would hear our tale. "Step inside, Ellie," I beckoned, welcoming her into our world, into the narrative we share. In our conversation, it became clear that our journey had bestowed upon us a mission that transcended our individual recovery. We could share our experiences, leading others through their shadows, just as we had found our way through ours. The horizon was a tapestry of possibilities, woven with threads of restoration, compassion, and shared journeys ahead. Yet one truth stood out unmistakably. Our tale was not merely about enduring, it was a journey of change. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, a tranquil atmosphere enveloped our humble living room, bringing with it a profound sense of serenity. We had endured the deepest shadows, and now united we were emerging into the brightness, prepared to uplift, to mend, and to exist not solely for ourselves but for everyone who could draw courage from our journey. If you found this tale captivating, be sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts. This will assist us in crafting more captivating narratives for you.